Okay, so I know this is just a prop, but whenever Loki sees this, he's gotta have PTSD. Hello there, guys. We're back again with another review. This one's a bit different because obviously the series hasn't finished. So I'm just going to go episode by episode, giving you my thoughts and give you an overall review at the end. It's probably going to come in a podcast form with a special guest of some sort. I'll deal with that later. For now, let's talk about episode 1, which is called Glorious Purpose. Basically, what is the show about? This show is about Loki, who is the god of mischief, and basically what happens to him after the events of Avengers Endgame. As you remember in Endgame, if anyone messes up the current timeline, then many multiverses are created. In this case, Loki does steal the Tesseract and does go somewhere else, and thus creates a different timeline completely. This show was run by Michael Waldron. He's actually a showrunner for the show Rick and Morty as well, which is a very, very famous show. I've not seen an episode, but probably one day will. It stars Tom Hiddleston, obviously, as Loki, Owen Wilson, and I'm sorry if I butcher this, Gugu Mbathu Raw. I'm so sorry. Okay, so basically, this is the Loki character from 2012. He hasn't gone through the redemption that we've seen him go through in 2012, 13, 17, 18, all that stuff. And basically, we've gotten to know this Loki character since his debut in 2012 in the original Thor film. I feel that Tom Hiddleston is the perfect Loki. He really made the role his own, and everyone now knows him as, Loki. He made the role great, and he sort of made his own fan base, which is great. He is one of the most popular anti-villains ever. I wouldn't call him a villain because he's not. And he is, in the comics, always blurring the lines between good and evil as well. So I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe nailed the character down, and it's great to see him in the series as well. I'm not usually one for bringing characters back from the dead, but with this one, I somewhat understand it because it's not the Loki we all know. Anywho, now I'm going to give you my thoughts and predictions on the series based off the first episode. So first off, I'd like to say Tom Hiddleston as Loki is fantastic. His emotion in particular during the scene. Oh, sorry, one more thing. Spoilers ahead. Before I say anything that ruins your day or ruins your experience of Loki, spoilers ahead. And yeah, I'm so sorry if I just messed up your timeline. Anywho, his emotion during the scene where the TVA shows him his life highlights is absolutely heartbreaking. I loved it. I think it was powerful. And I was actually rooting for the point where they'd show him his death at the hands of Thanos. Not only because, as you can see, I'm a huge Thanos fan, but also to see that how he would be affected by his own death because he thought he'd never be catchable or beatable. And as you can see, when he lost his mother in the highlights, or when he interacted with his brother, or the loss of his father, that he actually does care about his family. As I said, he's not a villain. He's not a bad guy at all. He's actually just a guy who desperately wants his own purpose. He just wants attention, As he said many times, he's burdened with glorious purpose. Anywho, I think Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, who plays M. Mobius, is also they work very well together. They bounce off each other very well. Fun fact, Owen Wilson, instead of watching the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe or reading the Marvel comics, he literally just told Tom Hiddleston to explain the entire MCU to him up until this point. Genius. Also, I think the humor in this film is also very nice. It's what you'd expect from the Marvel Cinematic Universe nowadays, but I'd say this brings a sort of Ragnarok kind of comedy mixed with a bit of Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, which I found very, it works. One of the personal highlights from this episode is the guy who doesn't know what a fish is. It's absolutely hilarious. And also the fact that there are 20 or 30 Infinity Stones and that they use it for paperweights. That just shows you how powerful the TVA are, that they can use Infinity Stones for paperweights. All right, so now into my predictions. I don't know if I said this before, but I was an avid reader of the comics growing up, played a lot of the games, watched a lot of the animated films, and I do have a lot of background knowledge on this. So, trust me, but don't trust me, because many people have trusted me before, and that's gone down a very, very bad route. Shout out to the people who got misdirected by me for WandaVision. Basically, what I think is going to happen here is that he creates the multiverse. For those of you who don't know, Marvel is going through the multiverse idea for Phase 4. Phase 1, 2, and 3 is dedicated to the Infinity Stone saga. As you can see in many films, that they deal with, the Infinity Stones, Power Stone, the Mind Stone, Soul Stone, all that stuff. But with this one, they're going with the multiverse, because if they set up another big bad, aka another Thanos, it's just going to be a repeat. It's just going to be boring that they set up another big bad to deal with. Instead, they're just going to make a multiverse and incorporate all their characters into one same universe. So we're talking about all the X-Men in this universe, all the Fantastic Four, all the Venoms, all the everything ever's in this universe. And I think this is where the X-Men are going to come into play in a few years' time. The Fantastic Four movie is already confirmed, so that's going to happen as well. And also, at the end of this year, there's also going to be Spider-Man No Way Home, which is an incorporation of all three Spider-Men. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from back in the day, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in 2012, and the current Spider-Man who's played by Tom Holland. And it's basically going to open up the multiverse for them and explain how they get in here as well. Also, what I think is going to happen is that he ends up going rogue, or he ends up going off course at the end of season 1, because this show is already confirmed for season 2. So I don't think that he'll ever interact with Thor again, basically, because they want to keep their Disney Plus shows on the side and their movie universe as a large. So I think it'll be a bit cheap for Loki to interact with Thor again, because it's going to devalue his death in Infinity War, and I'm not all for that. So I'm completely fine with them never meeting again. Also, I think that he's going to end up facing various versions of himself. You can see from the first episode that he actually has to deal with a hooded figure. That's probably another variant of Loki. And then what we definitely have is also Lady Loki, which is Loki, but, well, as I said, a lady. This should also lead into the next Marvel Cinematic Universe villain, who is Kang the Conqueror. He's basically a time traveler who gets pissed off at the Avengers because they deal with time too much. He's going to be introduced officially in Ant-Man 3, which is coming out, I think, next year. But I feel that they'll tease him in this one first. Anywho, I feel personally that I don't have any negatives with the first episode. I think they set everything up perfectly. It's very well paced and gives us a lot of curiosity heading into the next 5 episodes. I think it's the best opening to a Marvel series ever, because we've had, 2, and the first 2 was decent. And let's hope that continues, because WandaVision started off decent, the middle was fantastic, and the ending didn't stick the landing. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, same here, just maintained, a somewhat consistent momentum throughout. But I hope with the Loki series that it really hits home and it really gives a lot of significance to the Disney Plus Marvel shows. Guys, thank you very much for listening. And as always, if you're watching on YouTube, please click the subscribe button, give this video a like, and push the notification bell. If you're listening on Spotify, then please give me a follow there too. Thank you guys, and I'll see you for Loki episode 2.